What is going on, guys? Cranking with Chris here. And today I'm going to show you guys how I personally fish a jig. So, I've been out here fishing for about an hour. I've got one fish, caught him on a jig, so I'm still jigging. This is a little custom jig I made. I think this is a Boss Head. This is a Matt Allen's from Tactical Bassin. This is his signature color with the little purple in it. And then I've got a little beefer on the back. This isn't the exact same setup that I caught that other jig fish on. I caught that one on a rage crawl with a lot of movement. And he absolutely tagged that thing. I'll throw that clip in here. But I wanted to show you guys how I jig fish because this has become one of my new favorite types of fishing here recently. It's slower, yes, but if you know that there's fish here, like especially if you're like a pond fisherman and your body of water is not that big, you cannot beat a ½ ounce to a 3/8 ounce jig, man. Like this is gonna catch them. You might not catch a ton of them. You might catch a massive one, but what I will say is that this catches them in general. So I'm gonna teach you guys how I use a jig. So first thing you're gonna do, obviously, cast that thing out there as far as you possibly can. And if you if you fishing any kind of structure, target that structure and target the shadows. That's what I try to do whenever I'm fishing. Like right now where I'm casting at, there's a big brush pile that I'm actually stuck in right now. And I'm just bumping this thing along the bottom and then I'll give it like a hop, one hop. Because if you ever watch crayfish, which is what you're mimicking with the jig most of the time whenever you're fishing it on the bottom, crayfish they don't swim. They're crawdads. They got a little tail on the back, but they don't actually like swim, you know? They kind of like shoot themselves off. Like they uh they jump off the ground basically, and then they just kind of shoot themselves off. So that's kind of what I'm doing here, and that's what you're mimicking with a jig is a crawfish. The way that their claws are, and the way that they just you know they're on the bottom there, just kind of doing their little thing, eating their little food, their little plankton, whatever they're doing. So what I try to do during the summer months specifically is I want something with a lot of movement. The only reason why I'm using the beaver right now is because this water's a little dingy and this is the only thing I have in a black and blue type of color. So I just kind of wanted to use this just because of the color specifically. I just wanted to stand out. Um, but uh, Normally whenever I'm using the jig, I'm trying to keep that line tight, which is very, 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 very important. You will not know these fish bite until like sometimes they'll hit it on the fall, sometimes they'll pin it on the ground. Like they'll literally the bait will be there on the bottom just like this, and they will literally just pin it to the ground and just try to kill that thing and just tap it over and over and over again, which is what that fish that I had earlier did. He just literally pinned my jig to the bottom and he just kept smacking it and smacking it, and I ended up hooking him in the left side of the jaw. But basically what I try to do with the jig is just be as natural as possible. I'm either dragging it and then I'm popping it up once or twice, or I'll drag it, or I won't even drag it. I'll just pop it up once, twice, and let it sit. Right now I'm moving a little bit fast, just because these fish are pretty active, I think. And during the summer months, I like to really like move my jigs. I don't like to keep them sitting there for a super duper long time like you would do in the winter whenever they're really staring at it, because these fish, their metabolisms are high, man. Like I said, that one fish attacked and attacked and attacked. Like, this water is warm. They're not cold. You know, if bass are cold blooded, so whatever temperature the water is what whatever temperature the water is what temperature they are. So whenever it's really cold, they don't want to move, and whenever it's really hot, they want to move, man, because it's warm, it's nice, it feels good. But you know, that's why I'm moving this jig a little bit more than I would be during the winter months. And there's a whole bunch of different styles of jig that I can get into a whole rant, man, on the different styles of jig. And if you want me to go into that, then let me know, because I've got almost every single type of jig, other than I think a punching jig. But right now, this jig that I'm using, it has more of a pointed style head. It's not super duper pointed. It's still got like a flat, like a thumbprint in the front of it, so it doesn't. It's not completely snag proof, but it does get through this grass really well, which is what I'm fishing. I know you guys can't tell, but on the bottom of this, it's literally just this right here. Like, what you're seeing right down here, all of this grass right here, that's what's on the bottom of this lake. And it's a lot of it. It's that real slimy stuff too. So I'm really just trying to move this through the grass. And then there's, like I said, there's a brush pile about, it's probably about maybe not even 100 yards. That might be 100 yards out there, but it's like 75 yards out there. I'll just cast and show y'all kind of where it is. It's about right there. There's a brush pile with a whole bunch of wood just in the middle of the lake right here, and that's what I'm fishing. I'm literally just trying. I don't know which way the branches go, so I'm literally just fishing it at every angle possible. I'll fish it standing from over there, I'll fish it from standing over here, and I'm just casting into the middle of the lake trying to get to that wood and just bump across this wood. And this is where I get a lot of my bites right here on this lake specifically, is literally just bumping bottom. But jig fishing isn't hard, guys. It's literally one of the easiest things. Like, you can literally sit here on your phone and not move this jig, and then just move it once or twice, and then all you'll feel is dum, 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 dum. And it's just like, oh Jesus! And then you get to smash them because you got that big single hook, so you really get to smash those fish. It's a lot of fun. I love jig fishing. With that hook set I had earlier, I actually almost broke my rod because it got stuck on a log because I was trying to hit that fish hard because I didn't know if he had it or not. So I was just setting the hook and, just making sure it penetrated his mouth, and I barely got him. So you really got to hit these fish hard, and I do not recommend jig fishing with a flimsy rod, man. This is a medium heavy, which is what I personally like to jig fish on, because it's just that perfect blend where you can if you get stuck in some grass, it'll kind of just pop it free, and it's not like moving the bait too much. Like, with a really, really stiff rod, you can move and work your baits way too much, and then like that medium heavy is like that perfect middle ground for me. So I like a medium heavy whenever I'm trying to jig fish. I don't want a medium or a light kind of rod, because they'll just like there's too much bend in them, and you can't get that hook to penetrate their mouth. So if you're just getting into jig fishing, I recommend you just to start out on a medium heavy, which is on what most bait casters are. That, like, if you got a combo from Walmart or something like that. So you can do this with the stuff that you have at home. And I'm using I think this is 50-pound leader to a 12-pound. I mean, it's 50-pound braid to a 12-pound fluorocarbon leader. And I've got a long leader out there just because I like more leader material, just because I like to fish more fluorocarbon, but I like how braid stays on the reel. So I'll literally, there's 2 connection knots in this reel. Like, there's fluorocarbon as the base, and then I have braid on there for most of it, and then there's a little topping of fluorocarbon on top that I have on here as well. Now, going into colors of jigs. Right now I'm trying to cast a shadow. That's what I'm trying to do right now, is cast a shadow. That's why you see all of this dark, purples. It's also in the middle of June right now, so June bug is a really good color, and that purple really sticks out. So I really like that purple. It's been doing really good for me this year. I did not know about the purple thing actually until this year. I always fish with either shad patterns or green pumpkin patterns. So I just like I was always the natural goer. I thought purple was like one of them gimmicky things. It's that, like whenever you look at a purple Cinco, it doesn't look like it would catch you a bass. Like I don't know. Whenever I was just getting into fishing, I stayed away from all the purple baits. I just did not think that was a real thing. I don't know why, but here recently and especially this year, I have doubled down on the purple, and it's become one of my favorite colors. And it's one of my favorite colors in real life too. So it automatically just jumps out at me. But whenever we're going into colors, I normally try to keep it, like I said, pretty basic. If I'm trying to cast a shadow, black and blue, black and purple, a dark green pumpkin, all of those are really great colors. And if I'm trying to do more natural, a lighter green pumpkin with a zoom, like a UV crawl, whenever it's really, really sunny out, that's another really good combination right there. um, yeah, hold on, show y'all something. So another thing with jigs that people don't really realize either is this big gaff of a hook. I want y'all to pay attention to that. Specifically, just because all jigs are different, and whenever I'm going in the store and I'm looking for a jig, there's two things that I'm looking for. I'm looking for a pretty stout weed guard because I fish a lot of vegetation. And I'm also looking for a really big gaff of a hook. Like I don't want a really small hook unless I'm going with a finesse type of jig. If I'm going with like a smaller 1/8 size jig and a smaller trailer, like a 3/8, like a 3-inch muscleback crawl, which is my favorite small kind of jig trailer, then obviously go with that. But go with the biggest gaff of a hook you can because it'll give you the best percentage to actually hook those fish and make it to where they can't throw that big weight that's hanging out in front of your hook whenever they come up and they're thrashing and doing all that craziness. So that's just another tip for you. Um, During the spring months, they get more toned in on the red colors as well. So that's another little tip for you. So if you have like a bright red jig or something like that, that could be something that like in the Marches and Aprils that could work really well. If you're in the bottom half of the United States specifically too, because that's where I live. Do I have something or is this just grass? I think this is just grass. Yeah, I got a stick. All right. But yeah, man, if I had to give you any tips to try to use a jig, I say um well, let me try to give you 3 tips. All right. So whenever I'm picking a jig, I'm trying to think of, am I trying to cast a shadow or am I trying to be natural? That's number 1. Number 2, what is the water temperature? Water temperature matters because of, do I want a lot of kick and thump and a whole bunch of stuff going on back here, or do I want this thing to just look good and am I just dragging it basically so make it to where it looks good? So those are the two things. Those are 2 things that I'm really looking for whenever I'm thinking about throwing a jig. Other than that, it's slow. Fish your targets really, really slowly. Make multiple casts because this isn't a bait where they can really hear it unless you have like a rattling jig. Then they can't really hear it. They have to see it. So they're feeling the movement in the water with you, jumping it up and around and all that, and they're feeling that with their lateral line. But after that, like it's all pretty much sight after that. So you really want this thing to look good. You want it to be really natural. You want to hop this thing up off the ground 2-3 times, let it sit. And also, you can overwork a jig. That's something I've been trying to tell myself to stop doing this year. There's a reason the skirt is on the jig. The reason the skirt is on the jig is because it makes a big puff ball in the water, and it makes it to where you can actually you don't have to work that bait as much. Oh, okay, I got it out that grass. But you don't have to work that bait as much because that skirt is down there pulsating in that current in the water. Like even if it's still calm like it is right now, underneath the water it might not be still calm. There might be a little bit of a little bit of current, a little bit of anything going on down there, and it's moving that jig skirt, and that's why you can literally sit and not move a jig at all, and the next thing you know, it's, phew, I got one, you know? So keep that in mind. You can overwork your jig, try your best not to, but you know, it's kind of hard. I'm a really big person on that. But yeah, those are all my tips for jig fishing, man. If you like this video, please hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. And if you guys want me to go even deeper to the little head shapes and some more stuff and really get into jig fishing, because this is one of my things I've been going on the deep dive in. Let me know, guys, and I will see you guys next time. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned something new. Peace.